Uh, Hello, welcome to Twin Killing, the podcast where two twins may look the same, but they talk somewhat differently. I am Jason Luna, once again filling in. I'm still a co-host of this show. It's just my co-host and identical twin brother Marcus Luna is not here again for a second consecutive week. He's just really busy engineering. Engineering what? Hopefully, podcast content for next week because I need some. My name is Jason Luna. As you know, if you've been listening to this podcast, not too many of you have yet, but the ones that have are the true believers. And I thank you very much. Let's not talk about that anymore. uh, I'm an actor, stand-up comedian based out of Los Angeles. Had a pretty good day today. I took the garbage from my room to the dumpster in my apartment building. So I'm really just still keeping the trash, just reorganizing its allocation. And I like to take the trash out barefoot. Uh, Really makes me feel manly. Taking that risk. There could be things on the ground in the garage. I want to make a joke, but legitimately, just could be little trash because that's where the dumpster is. So that's a pretty logical assumption. I'll work on my humorous anecdotes. But today, twin killing, it's usually two hosts, hence the word twin, but we'll have twin subjects. First, a brief update on the Nintendo Switch 2, which is the obsession of my life. I want one Nintendo Switch 2. I don't even want two. Yep. And we'll also have a breakdown of the Wrestlemania 41 card because I'm a wrestling fan and most of the time I don't admit it out loud. I think finger guns for people listening on audio. Okay, Nintendo Switch 2, not much to update since last week's episode. We're still in a post Nintendo Switch 2 Direct landscape for a little bit. The Nintendo Switch 2 console is coming out in June. I'm very excited. And the United States is still on a hold for pre-ordering the console because Nintendo is trying to figure out their options for pricing due to the lovely tariffs that are looming over all of us. Politics is amazing. And then in 2 days from this taping, so when you listen to this, it'll already have happened. Uh, there'll be a dedicated Nintendo Switch 2 Direct for Mario Kart World, the new Mario Kart game. Uh, there's a lot of speculation online for two basic reasons. One, so the game's going to cost $80, which is a landmark, arguably terrible event in the history of video games, and it's getting its own direct press conference. So people are hoping that it will become more than just a new Mario Kart game, and things we haven't seen yet will happen, like more expansive open world environment, story mode, just generally more stuff to do. That's the hope. And we'll find out uh, my time later this week, your time next week. Because that's the advantage of the podcast is nominal delays. So yeah, that's about it. So let's talk WrestleMania. A little brief history for those of you who don't know. WrestleMania. So in 1985, Vincent Kenny McMahon, General Creep, but to be fair, he did play a fictional creep on television too. Um, he was a creep. That was my general point. Where was I? Oh yeah. In 1985, Vincent Kenny McMahon, uh, because he bought the company from his father, which was Vincent McMahon with a different middle name, which is so exciting. And anyway, in order to make his company financially viable, Vincent McMahon, which we'll call him from now on, took a big financial risk in creating a World Wrestling Federation Super Show, the WWF, now the WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment, because the other WWF, the World Wildlife Fund, sued the World Wrestling Federation into a name change in the early 2000s. They have so much in common. The World Wrestling Federation and the World Wildlife Fund both fight injustices. The World Wrestling Federation's injustices are just like aggro and fictional. So anyway, 1985 Super Show, call it Wrestlemania. It worked. It was very popular. Mr. T was involved, so I pity the fools who don't think that's cool. And so now every year till now, and ongoing, we've had WrestleMania. So now we're in WrestleMania 41. 41 times. The principal from Ferris Bueller's Day Off would probably have a heart attack if Ferris Bueller ditched school 41 times. Just doesn't ring up, doesn't roll off the tongue as well. So yeah, I can't think of any other preamble stuff to it. WrestleMania exists. Oh yeah, it got so big. It's 2 days. They take a break at the end of Saturday and wrestle more on Sunday. So it's a lot of matches. I will attempt to justify and give my predictions / opinions on this stuff. And I promise it'll be fun for people who don't like wrestling, because a lot of this stuff I don't like either. But that's I think it's kind of the joy of wrestling, is sort of this like, passive aggressive, like, oh, that part's cheesy, that part's weird, I wouldn't do that, etc., etc. So here we go. The first match of the evening, we have the War Raiders, Eric and Ivar, who are the tag team champions. Good for them. Defending against the New Day, which is Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. So the War Raiders, kind of weird. These two burly white guys. So naturally, for a long time, they were trying to justify them being Vikings. I guess the thought was, oh, Vikings are popular, maybe because of the TV show. And it never quite connected. They're kind of a charisma vacuum. They don't talk a lot. A big part of wrestling, obviously, is the promos, being able to communicate with the audience verbally to set up the match. They got none of that. And so brief real life aside, I mentioned Vince McMahon was a creep. That feeling, that icky feeling you felt when you looked at him, became legitimate when he was sued for a variety of things, but basically sexual harassment and illegal use of WWE funds to pay off the harassment. He decided to retire awkwardly, and Paul Levesque used to wrestle as Hunter Hearst Helmsley because he was a blue blood from Connecticut. It's a whole thing. He's in charge. Anyway, there's been a lot of changes under his leadership. He's a lot more of a modern, as far as wrestling can go, modern thinker. So all that to say, Triple H, as I will refer to Paul Levesque from now on, he made the Viking Raiders the War Raiders, which actually is very similar to a Viking. But no, they're like American guys who cut promos and wear leather, and that's about it. They're supposed to be like tough guys because they wrestle. It's very generic. I'm not a fan. So they're up against the New Day, and the New Day have this whole thing going on in the past year. So for like, feels like 20 years, the New Day was this sort of like almost generic, maybe in a good way, happy-go-lucky sort of like meme creating team. They would do things over and over again in a happy-go-lucky way, like throw pancakes to the crowd. because who doesn't want a loose pancake that probably hit the ground? Um, Xavier would play the trombone. They would wear outfits based on video games and make weird noises like whoo whoo whoo. It was just all stuff to get attention basically, but it worked pretty well for a while. It was tiresome for me a lot longer than everyone else apparently, but it was working for a while. And then they turned heel. Now I don't know why good guys are called faces and bad guys are called heels. I mean, I guess there's connotation that faces are the ones you want to look at and heels are underneath the shoe. That seems very literary for wrestling. So anyway, the New Day, they're like upset that, they weren't winning matches, but they were doing the silly stuff, so they gave up the silly stuff entirely, and now they're like bad guys who chastise the crowd. And I like that. I like characters that are very confrontational, very direct to the crowd, sort of like pulling up the curtain a little bit to reality. And there's not real reason for the War Raiders and the New Day to get along to like fight other good guys and bad guys, but the New Day just want to justify their new serious bad guy business by winning the tag team titles. On a scale of 1 to 10, give this match give a relatively high 4 out of 10, only because I want the New Day to win the titles and elevate their gimmick, which is good. I do not like the War Raiders. A lot of these predictions are going to be my hopes more than, but War Raiders have been lingering on boring TV matches with the titles for a long time. So I do think the New Day is going to win the titles. Huzzah! So next up we have Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano. Oh boy. El Grande Americano's got an interesting gimmick. Rey Mysterio first. If in the fake world of wrestling there's such thing as legitimacy, I think Rey Mysterio would have it. Rey Mysterio is an old guard lucha libre wrestler. It's very he's legitimately very athletic. Was wrestling in WCW in the mid 90s. A lot of top rope high flying moves. Wears a lucha mask. Always sticks up for the little guy because he's short. Yeah, he's just like a likable Hispanic American, actually San Diegan, just like me. Maybe maybe I could be a luchador. But anyway, that's his thing. It's kind of simplistic, but it's relatable, and it's nice to have like actual history, like time put in to represent the gimmick. So yeah. So here's the weird thing. So it's kind of interesting to describe wrestling gimmicks in a quote-unquote, because here's the thing. There's this wrestler named Chad Gable who kind of like Rey Mysterio, but in a different way, because there's a reality to his character. He was in the Olympic trials. He's a collegiate, excellent collegiate wrestler, also kind of short, but very, very good, athletic, mat-style wrestling with athleticism. Wrestled as Chad Gable for a while. They tried to give him this terrible gimmick of Shorty G, where it's like, I know I'm short, but I'm going to push through it anyway. And everyone hated that. And then he turned heel and started a awkwardly racist faction. I mean, I don't really think it's that racist, but it's part of the implication. It's called American Made. And these two white guys, the Creed brothers, this white woman, the Ivy Nile, the four of them doing bad guy things, picking on people. And Chad Gable started losing to another luchador, which is confusing, but his name's Penta. Get to him in a little bit. And Chad Gable moved to Mexico to learn about the luchadors, because, okay, a little bit of a white conquering complex there. And here's the weird part. Uh, this wrestler, who is about the same build as Chad Gable, does some of his poses, comes back with a American gear with a lucha mask, calling himself El Grande Americano. And yeah, he's fighting all the luchadors, and they try to do this quote unquote twin magic thing where everyone's like, oh, obviously that's Chad Gable, and then Chad Gable and El Grande Americano are in somehow in the same room at the same time, but it might be a trick. And yeah, so pinnacle of this thing, Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano, the luchador versus the fake luchador, and it's a little uncomfortable. I don't know. I guess it's fine. I'm not very excited for the match though. On an excitement level out of 10, um, God, I don't want to go on the curve with other ratings I gave, so I'll have some very inconsistent numbers. But yeah, I gotta give it a 3, just because uh, I like Rey Mysterio. His matches were getting a little generic before, but he's like super old, has bad knees. He's very limited athletically now, so it's not gonna be a very great match. I don't know what the possible payoff would be. Are they gonna unmask El Grande Americano and reveal it's Chad Gable? It's a mess. As far as the match goes, my prediction, which I don't like, is El Grande Americano will win, and there will be no storyline change. El Grande Americano will still be somehow perceived as, a rising luchador wrestler. I'm bored. Moving on. Speaking of bored, I don't know about that, but pretty much. Jade Cargill versus Naomi. This is the most storyline driven match so far. So to be brief, Jade Cargill is a very imposing, especially for a female wrestler. Very unique because she's very tall, very muscular, very statuesque build. She came over from AEW to WWE with a lot of fanfare, but apparently, backstage gossip, she's not the most skilled wrestler. She was being booked very part-time, but when she was in the ring, looked very impressive, powerful body slams and stuff. They put her in a tag team with Bianca Belair, who we'll get to later, and that was going fine. And then they're always looking for ways to get Jade Cargill to not wrestle while still acknowledging her presence on television. So she was brutally attacked in a mysterious attack. And there was a lingering mystery in wrestling. When there's a lingering mystery, they go like, oh, who attacked Jade Cargill? And instead of like seeing due diligence and investigations every week, they just won't talk about it until it's convenient to reveal the answer. But there was, rumors some bad guys did it, and that went nowhere. And then Jade Cargill returned, and so there was, I guess 3 candidates who to me felt like 2. So obviously they showed the bad guys. I think it was Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez near the site of the thing. So we'll get to them later. And she was tag team partners with Bianca Belair. So, smart wrestling fans like me were like, oh, maybe they're going to sneakily reveal it was Bianca Belair and turn Bianca bad guy. But anyway, it was the third option, which I didn't even get to yet. So when Jade Cargill was injured, Bianca Belair picked her friend, Naomi. Naomi is, this is actually a very common theme in wrestling, which I have not touched upon yet, which is, wrestlers are very athletic, and they look athletic and young and things, But a lot of wrestlers, they're kind of getting up there in age in terms of like sports athleticism. You know, a lot of wrestlers wrestle in their mid 40s or even 50s and get away with it nowadays. Naomi's kind of in that vein. She's been wrestling for WWE in some capacity since like the 2000s. It's been a while. Bianca Belair picked Naomi to be her tag team partner, and then it was revealed at another pay-per-view that Naomi attacked Jade Cargill, not Bianca Belair, and this was incredibly disappointing because if we had turned Bianca Belair heel, Bianca Belair, similar but different to Jade Cargill, very athletic, very strong, very powerful. You know, it'd be perfect size match and arguably popularity with the fans to set up a Wrestlemania match. That would be a potential main eventer for the women's side. But Naomi is a lot shorter, doesn't have the same pedigree of wrestling skill. So in order to justify it, they turned Naomi from a very generic, likable character. Closest thing to a gimmick for Naomi is that she wears like glow-in-the-dark clothes and dances a lot. But now, I don't know, she wears weird stuff and she talks a lot of crap. Like she just had an attitude change. She's a bad guy now. So now they're setting up this whole like Jade Cargill, the baby face, trying to take down this short woman who can't wrestle at Wrestlemania. And this is my first 1 out of 10 for excitement. It's not going to be a good match. I can't imagine anything exciting coming from this match. My prediction and hope is that Jade Cargill destroys Naomi. Hopefully interference from some other women to spice up the action, make it fun, set up something else for another pay-per-view. But this is a real letdown. WrestleMania is the biggest show of the year. So far, all 3 of these matches, major issues in terms of actual enjoyment to watch. Slightly better now, yay! We have the United States champion, LA Knight, versus Jacob Fatu. Both characters are gimmicks in the sense that like they're wrestlers. LA Knight's a very like what's the word? Big talker, big energy. Goes yeah, a lot. He's supposed to be from LA. He does not. He looks like an actor from, like most wrestlers who would play a Los Angeles character. He looks like an actor from like South Carolina. You know, very well-spoken South Carolinian who moved to Los Angeles and acted like he belonged here. That's fine. I think LA Knight would be Mexican in real life, but whatever. So yeah, he's a very popular babyface, very emulative of like a 90s wrestler, Stone Cold Steve Austin, who similarly was bombastic, got a lot of respect for not giving a crap, beat up bad guys. It was wrestling. So he's been U.S. champion for a while, and then he's going up against Jacob Fatu. Try to be real brief here, but actually this is fairly complicated. There was a faction in WWE called the Bloodline, which were bad guys for a few years. Roman Reigns, who we'll get to later. The Usos, who we'll get to later. They were doing bad guy stuff, and their whole thing was, they're linked to the great Samoans who defined wrestling. The Wild Samoans in the 70s and 80s. The Rock, we all know The Rock. We'll get to him later too. But in the 90s and 2000s, so they're the pedigree of wrestling, and they'll cheat and do whatever they have to prove it. And then after they lost to Cody Rhodes, who we'll also get to later, they turned babyface because of the new bloodline. Solo Sokoa, who was in the old bloodline, that's not important. Tamatanga and okay, some other guys. Solo Sokoa and some other Samoans, kind of younger version. They turned heel, made the other bloodline turn babyface. Anyway, that's all to get to. It's not even that important to the bloodline storyline, but the new bloodline, their breakout star is a guy named Jacob Fatu, who is somehow related to Rob Fatu Rikishi, another wrestler. Anyway, Jacob Fatu is a very exciting wrestler in a sort of like heel way, you know. He moves very quickly, does devastating moves, tries to cripple guys. WWE is always trying to push guys who could, in theory, murder you to build excitement, and he's another one. He's good. So yeah, this match has like no real storyline. A very common thing in WWE that thankfully we haven't gotten to yet is they'll be like, tonight on Raw, a match where the winner gets the Wrestlemania match. So Fatu took care of that. It's a Wrestlemania match. Good guy versus bad guy. Excitement level like a 2. I'm just gonna I just be like bad or good, and they're all bad so far. But it's just very paint by numbers. We've got a good guy and a bad guy we don't have a match for. Let's have them fight. My prediction for this match, it's kind of a hope, even though I don't really care for Fatu a ton. I think he should demolish LA Knight and win. LA Knight's character has been kind of floundering because he doesn't really have like a strong opinion. You know, he's a badass who wants to fight and win the titles, but doesn't have like enemies or opinions. So Fatu at least is more aggressive, and him having a championship and you're fighting off of that. So it's like, yeah, I think yeah, Fatu with the title is a little more interesting. What does the evil bad guy do when he owns gold, even if it is the U.S. title? Okay, here we go. This one's a fun one in the ironic sense. Tiffany Stratton is the WWE Women's Champion, which is different than the Women's World Champion because wrestling needs better differentiation for its two top belts. That's not a women's thing. Men have the same exact problem. We'll get to that in a second. Yes. So, Tiffany Stratton, as far as generic wrestling characters go, is pretty fantastic. She's kind of a bubbly blonde. She's very like full of herself, very facetious. She always says it's Tiffy time. She like knows she's the most beautiful and most skilled wrestler in WWE. She does a very beautiful moonsault, which is when you jump on the top rope and backflip out. It's a very cool move. And she ended up with the title. That's basically all I need to say. And then this is another one of those matches where a big problem is that they had a match to determine the challenger, then it happened. But at least in this case, it was the Women's Royal Rumble. For those who don't know, Royal Rumble is easily the most exciting and fun to watch match. If I was watching wrestling with someone who didn't, just didn't know wrestling, Royal Rumble would be what I would put in because, two people come out and they try to throw each other over the top rope, and every 2 minutes, someone else comes in until all 30 come in, and they're all like trying to flip each other the top rope. It's a very dynamic, fun match, even though it's like, an hour or 2 hours long. It's just like such a fun thing. You get new people coming in every time. You get surprises. You get big stars. Etc. Anyway, Charlotte Flair won, and I don't know if you can sense the sardonic pain in my voice. So Charlotte Flair is the daughter of Ric Flair, some would argue is the historical greatest wrestler in professional wrestling history. He won the world title a combined 16 times between WCW and WWE through the 80s and the early 2000s, I guess. Um, Very charismatic, very dynamic wrestler. I think it's hard to argue he's not at least a very good wrestler historically. Um, he had to go and have a daughter who wanted to wrestle. Charlotte Flair's gimmick is basically I'm Ric Flair's daughter, but instead of because Ric Flair's a very like, you know, I gotta let you know I'm a womanizer and I'm weird and I'm very like energetic and I'm fun to listen to. Charlotte Flair is like, I'm the daughter of someone who is very good. I'm also very good. I need to have all the titles, please. And I think, especially lately, there's been a lot of that whiny supplication to her character. She's not a very dynamic talker, not very likable, and they tried to promote her return and Royal Rumble win as like a likable thing, because it's like, oh, Charlotte Flair, who's won X number of titles, is back from injury or time off or whatever, and she won the Royal Rumble. Isn't that cool? And everyone's like, we just don't hear her talk. So she's getting booed out of the building. And when you win the Royal Rumble, you get to handpick which world title you want a WrestleMania match against. That used to be more of like a fun thing. Now it's like paperwork, and half the world titles are just arbitrarily booked. But yeah, it was weird because Charlotte Flair went to every WWE has different brands now that allows them to split up the world titles. So she went to SmackDown where Tiffany Stratton is, but she also went to Raw where that was. We'll get to that later, and NXT where that was. And it didn't seem like there was much to differentiate her interest in the titles, but she's just randomly like, no, I want to fight Tiffany Stratton. And the promos have just been very like, I guess to the point, but not like, not really building the world of it. Because Charlotte Flair just goes like, Tiffany, you're not good, and you're kind of silly. And then Tiffany goes like, Charlotte, no one likes you, and it's like those things are both true. But I'm not excited for this match. I mentioned Charlotte Flair had X number of world titles and stuff. She's also getting up there in age. She's a very stiff wrestler. I've not been impressed with her recent WrestleMania type matches and stuff. I'll give this match reasonably high 4. Still not a winner yet. This is going to be a very one of those WrestleManias you enjoy for the moment, not necessarily for the match pitch. The only reason I'm rating it a little higher is because I like Tiffany Stratton. She'll have a fun entrance, fun outfit, and my hope, almost requirement, Tiffany Stratton has to win. Because are we gonna downgrade Tiffany Stratton, who's young and good, for Charlotte Flair, who's old and not as good? I mean, it would really bum me out. So actually, I think I'm gonna bump it down to a 3. My very, very authentic rankings, because just too much anxiety about they're gonna make Charlotte Flair look good and let her win or whatever. And God. Okay, I have Gunter, the World Heavyweight Champion, which they should just call the Raw Champion, because what the fuck? Like what? World Heavyweight Champion, which implies that they're heavier, but the undisputed WWE Champion there's no weight difference. Anyway, Gunther is the World Heavyweight Champion. He's defending against Jey Uso. This is a better version of a, hey, look who won the Royal Rumble match. Because, set up the characters real quick. So, Gunther is a giant German man who wrestled in WWE UK for a while. Not important. And he came to WWE America, and he's a very tall, very muscular, very skilled wrestler. I think a little overrated because he does like a sleeper hold as a finisher. Like if you're that big and strong, don't do that. That's lame. Because I mean, sleeper hold. Little guys can do sleeper hold. You just hold the throat, hold the head, and choke him out. He should be like lifting up over his head and King Kong and that stuff. You know. Anyway, uh, he's been dominating, winning because he's Gunter and got the World Heavyweight title. Before the Royal Rumble, he fought Jey Uso. Jey Uso, former Bloodline guy, not very important. When he turned babyface, they turned him from because he used to be a twin gimmick, Jey and Jimmy Uso, who we will not get to later. Finally, they would wrestle as Samoan twins. They look the same, both very high flying Samoan wrestlers together. But they like had a conciliatory breakup. Jey wants to be a solo star. Jimmy's fine with it. And Jay's gimmick, God, very TikTok modern gimmick thing. You know, he wears his T-shirt, he wears jeans, he wears the what I like to call the Kanye West glasses, the plastic glasses with the lines through it, and then he does like a dance. It's called yeeting, which I thought was throwing a couch out of a window, but go like this. And for those of you on audio, you take your arm, you lift it about halfway. Just take that flat hand and go up, down, up, down, up, down, and then he says yeet as a catchphrase. It's like the New Day shit again. Just like if you do something that the audience can understand is a repetitious catchphrase, it will become popular. So yeah, his basic gimmick is that because you think it with all that shit, his gimmick would be like he's a party dude, or he likes to dance, or even like he's like a vain TikToker. But no, he's just like a nice guy who also likes to dance, kind of like me. Those of you on audio, I'm doing finger guns again. But so anyway, they had a match before the Royal Rumble. Gunther dominated him. Jey Uso overcame the odds, defeated John Cena, who we'll get to later, at the Royal Rumble to win his title shot. And it's a very classic Davey versus Goliath. David versus Goliath. Davey versus Goliath. I'd love to see that. Hey, Davey, I want to fight you at WrestleMania, motherfucker. You got the reference. I'm pointing at the camera. Wait. Anyway, Jey Uso, you know, because Gunther came out and he's like, don't fight me at WrestleMania because I will kill you. And then Jey Uso picked him, and they've been sort of having matches, sort of just Gunther beating Jey Uso up. They did this thing where Jey Uso slipped on the top rope to set up heat, which I'll try to explain, but I won't spend too much time on it. Heat in wrestling is something that gives the audience energy in either direction. So in other words, if a babyface wrestler does something, if someone does something good in wrestling and the audience gets into it, that's like babyface heat. Something bad happens in wrestling, but the audience is like invested in it. That's heel heat. It's just you know, just energy. Controversy equals ratings. I'm done with that. My whole point was they're really setting up, you know, Jey Uso got beat up. He slipped on the ropes, etc. He's the underdog to Gunther. They even did a couple promos, talking segments where Jey Uso's like, "Oh, I'm kind of afraid of you, but I'm gonna push through it." So it's like really setting up the David versus Goliath thing, and honestly, like, I'm never a big fan of the David versus Goliath match. I don't know. Never mind. Maybe I am. But this match I'm not super excited about. Or am I? No. Yeah, really. It is slightly more positive. I'll give it a reluctant 5, just because decent storyline build. Like, here's the thing. Gunther's a big, strong guy who can legitimately wrestle well, but I just find it slightly boring. He's not the dynamic, high energy wrestler. He's a little bit of a mat guy, despite being like 7 foot tall. And Jey Uso's a little bit of a limited wrestler, in my opinion. He was in a tag team for a million years. He likes to do punches and one top rope move a match. So I got a reluctant 4.5 out of 5 for excitement. I don't really care what happens in this match. I just hope it exceeds my expectations in terms of excitement because I think it's going to get a little boring. I do think Jey Uso's going to win. They've been building up this Davey and Goliath thing forever. Jey Uso sells merchandise with the t-shirt and the glasses and the eating. So obviously they want him to be like superstar. And hopefully his wrestling or his charisma will level up with that and it'll be worth it. I think he'll be a mid-card world champion, which is disappointing and antithetical to the world champion thing. Anyway, believe it or not, we're only at the actually it's a little beyond halfway point, but this is the main event of night one, which should not be a main event. Sorry. It's a cheap way to make two matches seem like a big deal. Is to be like, because in wrestling, just like a lot of like a stand-up show, like anything, the thing that goes on last is supposed to be, the big thing that everyone actually paid to see, and that was it. But now they have 2 nights of WrestleMania. They pretend that the thing in the middle, going on at the end of the first night, is also exactly the same. So with no reservation or asterisk at all, they'll go like, remember when Bianca Belair and this is a few years ago, main evented WrestleMania? It's like it's a night one main event. It's not the main event. It's a very highly touted match. I don't want to go with this. Shame. But so main event in quotation marks and sarcasm. Arguably could be the main event of the whole show though. So there you go. But a triple threat match. The not for a title, which is interesting. Roman Reigns versus CM Punk with Paul Heyman in his corner, which is less important than WWE wants you to think, and also versus Seth Rollins. So these are all main event wrestlers, basically still main eventers. Like if they main evented next pay-per-view, it'd be fine. Roman Reigns, as I mentioned, founder of the original Bloodline, and like for 10 plus years before that, the creepy Vince McMahon really wanted Roman Reigns to be Hulk Hogan and had him be world champion and be in a main event forever, winning babyface matches. Very athletic, very skilled Samoan wrestler. I don't know what's in the water in Samoa, but just effortless. How good he is. Not just a good wrestler athletically, but also presents in a very likable way. Probably should have got a more, because at the time when Vince McMahon was like, "This guy's a babyface," the audience was like, "No, stop it. We hate him." And it was like he probably should have got more respect because he's a very good, likable wrestler. Anyway, he turned heel for the Bloodline. He turned babyface out of the Bloodline and started supporting Cody Rhodes, who we'll get to later. He became insanely popular again, or for the first time, or whatever. All that to say, anything else to add? No, his gimmick is just he's Samoan. I mean, yeah, he has the traditional beads, big guy with the legitimate Samoan tattoo. So he's a good looking young guy with a Samoan heritage. If it was like The Rock taller with long hair, pretty much. Who doesn't even, I don't think he has long hair anymore, but that's just about, yeah. Different look. A beard, I guess? He's bigger than The Rock. Stop there. Gosh. Yeah, get to the gimmicks real quick, then I'll get the feud. CM Punk Kind of like Roman Reigns, very difficult, obviously, to summarize the gimmick. He's just basically himself, and he gave himself the name CM Punk, which CM is supposed to stand for chick magnet, but he's given different, uh, what do you call that, abbreviation explanations. And, average size, but a little wiry, a little thin, a little, not short, but average. Um, got a lot of tattoos. Talks about he's from Chicago. Very like he's a good wrestler, kind of a mean streak, vicious, straight talker on the mic. These gimmicks are not great. Speaking of gimmicks, not great. No, I'm just kidding. He's fine. But Seth Rollins, younger guy, keeps very good shape. Uh, Athletic. Everyone sounds the same. Athletic guy with a man bun and a beard, and just like Roman Reigns. My God, even CM Punk has a beard. Uh, so Seth Rollins, a similar trajectory to Roman Reigns. Seth Rollins started as a kind of generic wrestler-y guy, and they tried to turn him heel. He started having more elaborate promos, and then I liked him, but much better as a heel. Bad guy. They pushed him back into the babyface good guy, and God, minor event thing. But they did this thing. Like, he wears like weird, expensive outfits, like designer poofy pants with no shirt, or a sweater that doesn't make sense. Lime green tuxedo jacket, like big poofy stuff. Anyway, that's not the problem. He has this theme song, and a big part of it goes like whoa, and then the audience can sing along with the music. That's fine, but then he gets in the ring and he always does the same thing. He's good on promos, good on talking, but he has to eat up time going like, I am a visionary, I am a revolutionary, I am Seth freaking Rollins, and then the crowd does the theme song again. Whoa, it takes us some time. You know what's coming. Adds no newness. I'm like, wow, this time they went, whoa. Anyway, all I have to say is his gimmick is like, it's just, he shows up during promos he's not supposed to, and he's very persnickety, gets under people's skins. He hates CM Punk because he left the company while he was still there. While Rollins was still there. It's very, all these gimmicks. And but yeah, so the reason for this match, it's a little convoluted because I'm trying to think back. So yeah, so when CM Punk came back, this is 2 years ago now. Time flies, but Seth Rollins hated him, and CM Punk got hurt legitimately. So there's a long wait of like, what's gonna happen with that? So when Seth Rollins came back, CM Punk came back, Seth Rollins feuded with him. It's like, you're not a real WWE wrestler. I like CM Punk. Who cares he was gone? Who cares? But anyway, Seth Rollins fighting him, doesn't trust him, and then this whole other thing where the old bloodline and the new bloodline, which I briefly touched upon, were fighting. Not important. But Paul Heyman used to own a company called ECW, moved to WWE, likes to manage top wrestlers. He's kind of an asshole. All of these gimmicks, they're just good talkers and wrestlers and stuff. But Paul Heyman's a very old, short, fat guy, so he doesn't wrestle. But anyway, Paul Heyman was representing Roman Reigns at the time. He still kind of does. And they needed a fourth person for a match. or whatever, and he negotiated CM Punk to wrestle in the match, and the match went fine, which is kind of the confusing part. So CM Punk is like, hanging out with Roman Reigns, and then I don't. It is very convoluted because the Seth Rollins CM Punk thing heated up, and then oh yeah, this whole time they were also trying to imply if this is stuff for me. Imagine you who's not paying attention to any of this, but Seth Rollins not only hates CM Punk for being himself, pretty much. He hates Roman Reigns because he remembers when Roman Reigns was a bad guy, and he's like, that guy's still a bad guy, which I find in wrestling is just such a cheap way to prolong something. Like, wrestlers, I guess, can be that subtle. It's like it's a kind of a wrestling paradox. Okay, while it's possible that a former bad guy turned good guy wrestler is still a bad guy, they're never going to do something where the good guy beats up the former bad guy, good guy wrestler and gets him to admit it. Because the guy will have been beaten up. It's too convoluted. If Roman Reigns is going to turn bad again, he's just going to do it. So Seth Rollins should really just enjoy good guy Roman Reigns while he has it and not just be bitchy about it for a year plus. I don't like Seth Rollins as much as the other two. He's fine. Obviously very talented. It's fine. Anyway, my whole point with this is that Seth Rollins hates CM Punk for having left the company, which every wrestler does in every wrestling promotion ever, because wrestlers don't get paid, they don't have a union, blah, blah, blah. And he hates Roman Reigns for having been a heel before, but now being a good guy. So Seth Rollins is coming off very anal and confused. Yes. So, at the Royal Rumble, I'm sure other stuff happened before, but Seth Rollins cheated CM Punk out of the Royal Rumble. And after Roman Reigns was eliminated from the Royal Rumble, Seth Rollins attacked him. So CM Punk wanted to murder Seth Rollins. They had a match. Roman Reigns showed up. He attacked both of them for reasons. And that's about it. They're gonna have a match now. So one of the reasons, which I have not really enjoyed, because it just doesn't seem like I don't know what it's building to. So that match I mentioned where CM Punk helped out the Bloodline, this is taking way longer than I thought, but it's very convoluted. CM Punk told Paul Heyman, Roman Reigns' manager, I'm going to need a favor if I'm going to wrestle in this match, which is insane, by the way. There was no stipulation on the match that CM Punk joined. Why is Paul Heyman negotiating like it's a business deal? Just have some guy go in there and lose the match. Who cares? But anyway, Paul Heyman and CM Punk have been or sort of hanging out as a result of this thing. We're not sure what the deal is, what the favor was between CM Punk and Paul Heyman, but they're friends. So Roman got mad, attacked CM Punk. So instead of the Seth Rollins CM Punk match at WrestleMania, which would have made a lot more sense because they're a direct feud, now Roman's in there against both of them, when it really should just be Roman versus Seth, not Roman versus Punk, and vice versa. Fine. And then two things happened. Oh my God, almost there. At the contract signing, Paul Heyman's like, hey, CM Punk, I did that favor you asked me for. You're the main event of night one. So CM Punk gets to main event WrestleMania. It's not a main event. It's a halfway main event. And I get that putting at the end of night one is a match that would be higher up than halfway. In other words, if it was on night two, it might be like the second to last match, not the, it's not a midpoint match. It's a little higher, but it's not the main event. But anyway, CM Punk goes, no, you're wrong. That's not the favor. Thank God. If CM Punk was happy to be a night one main eventer, I would lose a lot of respect for him. He's still my favorite wrestler, but... And then, so on some random TV thing, CM Punk's like, I'm going to tell you the favor. Roman Reigns, your manager is Paul Heyman. But when CM Punk joined WWE, the person who boosted me backstage and later became my manager way back in the day was Paul Heyman. So at WrestleMania, Paul Heyman's going to manage me. And everyone gets mad. Roman and Seth are beating each other. All three of them are beating each other up now. And it's like, so? What? Like I mentioned, Paul Heyman is old and short and bald. And not that the bald part matters, but and he goes out to the ring for Roman Reigns matches, but he just like stands there and sometimes talks into a microphone. What does this do to the match or to CM Punk's career or anything? It just seems like they're like, oh, we need Roman Reigns and CM Punk to actually have a reason to fight, and this is it? Question mark. Just feels like Paul Heyman could manage both of them, and I wouldn't care. Or none of them, I wouldn't care. I like Paul Heyman, don't get me wrong, but waddling out to the ring and not doing anything for a whole match, I just don't see the benefit. All that being said, God, I would love this match a lot more if it wasn't a triple threat. Triple threats are very scripted, so I guess you probably can infer what I mean by triple threat, but all three guys in the ring at the same time, anything goes. There's no disqualification, no nothing. Just beat each other up, and first person to win one time wins the whole match over the other two. It doesn't matter who pins who or whatever. It gets very generic. Like, one guy gets thrown out of the ring, the other two fight. The guy on the outside of the ring jumps in and saves someone, repeats, blah, blah, blah. But number-wise, yeah, I gotta still give it like a 7.99999. Easily the only good match on day one for me, which is crazy. Because CM Punk is my favorite wrestler, and I haven't seen him perform at WrestleMania in my watching time. He left WWE in like 2005, maybe earlier. So, and I like Roman Reigns. I even like CM Punk as a wrestler, not as much else, but should be an okay match for triple threat. So we're on to night two, Sunday, and this one's actually, it's not bad. It's not amazing, but it's not bad. Okay, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez are the women's tag team champions. Making sure there's not another women's tag team title to confuse about. No, that's it. And they're defending against Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. A lot of almost gimmicks, but very generic. Kind of like a lot of wrestlers nowadays. But Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez are both avowed bad guys. They're in a faction. Can't remember what it's called. It used to be like a angry goth bad guy faction, but all the angry goths left, so now it's like just like whiny lesser wrestlers. It's like Darkness Wave. Fucking, I don't Darkness Wave, that's what it's called. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Moving on. So Liv Morgan, her gimmick didn't really change. She just became a bad guy, but she's a very kind of petite. It's a wrestler, so still average build. But anyway, petite, very cute, blonde-haired woman. That's about it. Pretty good talker. And then her tag team partner and fellow heel, Raquel Rodriguez, who was being way underused. She's a very tall, strong Latina woman with long hair, can do a lot of like the show off power spots, lift women over her head and throw them down. And she's just sort of like Liv's sidekick. And they got the tag team titles at some point. Women's tag team titles. As much as I want to respect women's wrestling, those titles are just sort of lollygagged around, won or lost on television, not pay per view. Whatever. So they're going up against a makeshift tag team, everyone's favorite. Makeshift tag team refers to the fact that they don't wrestle as a tag team all the time. They don't have like a combined gimmick or a reason for fighting together. It's just they kind of get along and they want to try it. Gimmicks. Okay, Bailey started out. She wore colorful clothes and insists she hugs kids and stuff. And then she turned heel. So she just became like a woman with long black hair who was kind of snotty with an attitude. And she turned babyface again. And now she's kind of got an attitude, but she does good things. And she still has that black hair. Might not be long either. Jesus Christ. I don't know what to say about Bailey. She wears colorful clothes, but that's almost misleading. It's not like excessively colorful. It's just anyway. She's a very good wrestler, very competent. Her tag team partner, Lyra Valkyria. She's Irish. That's almost a gimmick. It's not like she comes out with the leprechaun outfit in a tam o' shanter or anything, but God, she wears a lot of like feathery things, very dressy outfits. Very skilled wrestler. I mean, she can do top rope stuff, but she's just like well rounded. If she was like a little taller and a little, I don't know, but yeah, if she was taller, she'd definitely have more of a shot being a main eventer. But as it is, she's very close. So, 4 competent wrestlers going at it in a tag team match. There's not much of a storyline here. Yeah, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez do bad guy things. So Bailey and Lyra Valkyria both got offended for various reasons, and they're like, "Let's form a tag team a month ago and have a match." The match went pretty good. I'm not blown away by the mix of wrestlers here. I'll still give it a solid like 4.999. It's on the verge of mid. Actually, 5. Give it a 5. I just don't see anything exciting happening in this match. I guess my prediction is that Liv and Raquel will retain because they're the legitimate tag team that the crowd knows. I know the crowd wants to root for Bailey and Lyra Valkyria, but they go do things in the solo realm, so I'll stand by that. God, the matches only get worse. AJ Styles versus Logan Paul in a grudge match. And when I say grudge, they formed a grudge this year. So, gimmicks first. AJ Styles, very competent wrestler. Man, they should have a faction called the Very Competent Wrestler Association. BCWA for life. AJ Styles is a Southern American, that's not his gimmick, wrestler. He's getting up there in age. You know, he must be pushing towards 50, but very athletic. Kind of invented a lot of high-flying top rope offense. Doesn't even need to use the corner of the ring where you can stand. He'll just go on the side ring and just like jump over and stand on the top rope and fly around, and you get up there in age, but very exciting. And then Logan Paul, possibly the only wrestler that casual fans of this show, all 3 of you, I'm sure there's 4 now. 5. Keeps growing. Uh, Logan Paul, as you probably know, is a very popular YouTuber. I guess that I describe it. I'm sure it's bigger than that now, but his brother Jake is a boxer and also does YouTube stuff. Some very bad. Jake Paul did some very bad music, from what I recall. And anyway, Logan Paul's thing for a couple years again. God, time just keeps flying. Anyway, Logan Paul's like, I don't remember the exact genesis of it, but his whole thing is like, yeah, I'm a bad guy in real life, but I'm successful too. Screw you, fans. Blah blah blah. And he just like gets in fights with people. No one likes him. He's the boy that nobody liked. And Logan Paul is, yeah, he's just kind of a jerk. And they tried to do something at the Royal Rumble where him and AJ got into it, and then Logan's teasing AJ on promos. AJ did something back. They had some fist fights. So here we are. Like I said, every time Logan Paul fights, it's someone who wants to shut him up or uh, gets annoyed. It's like the fly swatter versus the fly. Just get out of here. Get out of here. Uh, so yeah, that's it. Oh, Logan Paul's gimmick. I mean, I think I described it. He's an asshole, so he wears, on top of his wrestling gear, he wears like headbands and dumb stuff. He has people interfere on his behalf. Bad guy gimmick 101. Honestly, he's very close to competent wrestler, just annoying. Uh, my prediction for this match, AJ Styles better win. I'm not very excited about it. In fact, my excitement is -2. I hate that I'm promoting Logan Paul's promotion by, paying for Peacock and watching this stuff. But AJ Styles old. He should win at WrestleMania in case he can't come back next year. So seems like a done deal to me. Logan Paul doesn't even want to go to TV every week. He's a part-time wrestler, which is insane for his age. Yep. Okay, this is cluster of the match. Aside from tag team matches, this is the most participants in the show. Talk about thrown together. Okay, Braun Breaker is defending the Intercontinental title versus Penta versus Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio. This is a fatal 4-way match for the Intercontinental Championship. So kind of like a triple threat match. Put all 4 people in a ring, do whatever they want. First person to win wins. There's no other elements. Do the gimmicks real quick. Braun Breaker is a sage name. He is the son of Rick Steiner, who is a Hall of Fame wrestler. Was very good. Rick Steiner's brother is Scott Steiner, who was even better. One of the greatest wrestlers ever. If you're into wrestling, check him out. Braun Breaker, he is a legacy wrestler, so that's a big part of his thing. Very athletic, very dominating, kick-ass, heel-ish. It has the IC title. Boom. Penta. Mentioned him earlier because he was beating up a Grande Americano, quote unquote, whatever his name is. Chad Gable. Thank you. He's beating up Chad Gable, so that should have been the match, not Rey Mysterio. But anyway, Penta, luchador, also wears a mask, does athletic stuff. Not as good at English as Rey Mysterio. Sorry, that's just the only disambiguation I have. His mask is a little different because I guess the mask is similar, but he paints his chin white, so it looks like he has a skeleton head. It's a cool look. And I'll get to the reason why they're fighting in a second. Finn Balor, also Irish, also not the gimmick. And athletic, small athletic guy, getting a little up there in age. Sort of a mid, almost high flyer type, That's about it. Oh, he's a heel. He's in the dark fusion, that's not what they're called. Gimmick with Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Speaking of that faction, also in this match, in the same faction as Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio. Dominic Mysterio is the real son of Rey Mysterio, legendary luchador. And real quick, when they were first debuting Dominic Mysterio, they were kind of acting like, this is the heir to the Rey Mysterio thing. They wrestle together, similar stuff. It took him way too long, but Dominic eventually turned heel and attacked Rey, joined the bad guys. Very very skilled on the mic. Heel. Mexican boy with long hair. That's about it. He's an okay wrestler. Definitely, can hang. Not like a danger to anyone. He's just okay. So, I don't know, there's not really a feud for this match. It's almost as bad as, hey, let's have a match that determines who's in it. It was pretty close. Braun Breaker's the champ. Finn Balor got one-on-one matches against Braun. Didn't work out. So there was something there. Dominic started out helping Braun Breaker get help. Dominic Mysterio started asking to get Finn Balor matches against Braun Breaker, but now they're like in the mix together. They've been teasing this whole thing where Finn Balor is too aggro to be the leader of the Midnight Society of Dark Purple, whatever it's called. And so Dom versus Finn hasn't materialized yet. They're obviously hinting at it because there's friction there. And Penta's been fighting all these guys. He probably had a title match against Braun Breaker at some point. Penta was asked to join the Midnight Society of Dark Purple, and he turned it down. So it's just like these loosely connected joints that are like, if it's four of them, it'll be exciting. And obviously, Finn versus Dominic exploding. So anyway, excitement. It's 2. I'm not a big fan of the way they book the IC title as like the consolation prize for things no one cares about. Like, I mean, they gotta find a way to elevate the excitement to a main event level for all the titles, not just the big boy women's and men's titles. Prediction. It's kind of hard to argue against Braun Breaker retaining. Penta winning would be kind of interesting. Different to have a luchador hold a belt, but Penta's a little old. I don't know what he wants to do with I mean, he's full time, so he could win. But my money's on Braun Breaker. They want to make him a main eventer. They're just not doing it very well. And this match is not going to help. Because it's goulash of mid-card wrestlers. Oh boy. This is the highest ranking non-title match. Get ready for those low numbers. Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre in a Sin City street fight. Yeah. This is contender for the least built match on the entire card. Like, to describe the storyline to you is a struggle for me. I guess I'll do gimmicks first. Damian Priest is a Puerto Rican wrestler. That used to be part of his gimmick. I guess it's still part of his life, but very tall, very athletic. I think they underused him a lot since he's come in the company, but very skilled guy, former world champion, has recently, it's been a few months or a year or whatever, but he left the Judgment Day. That's what the purple, because it is purple based with darkness and it's like kind of goth evil faction. Judgment Day, Purple Society of Midnight Madness. Yeah. So anyway, he's been a baby face. He had Gunther's title before Gunther won it last year, I think. Uh, he's just kind of floating around being a good guy. And then Drew McIntyre, it's like a running thing. Drew McIntyre's Scottish. He's not a Highlander or anything, but he big, tall, very skilled wrestler, former world champion. Could be the guy if they wanted him to be. Uh, he's babyface for a long time back in the day. Turned heel for any number of reasons. Also had issues with CM Punk before Seth Rollins took his rightful throne as the CM Punk whiner. Uh, and he's trying to do this thing where he's the straight shooter. Drew McIntyre's a bad guy, but he comes out and tells it like it is. And it's like Seth Rollins does that. To an extent, Roman Reigns does that. CM Punk definitely does that. So it's just lost the shuffle. It's definitely falling off the card, in my opinion. Probably getting up there in age, too. There's another running theme for wrestling. Anyway, it's really hard to determine why this match is happening. The long and the short of it is, for some reason they were arguing, and then, one of them attacked the other backstage, and they played it off as a big deal, and then another one attacked. So it's like, oh, we really hate each other. Let's have a street fight in Las Vegas. This match is at 1. It just seems like an afterthought. There's not much else to it. It's a big afterthought. And a prediction for or hope for the match. Well, my only hope for the match is that there's some big surprise reveal. Someone else gets involved. Someone else elevates this to something else. Because Damian Priest is kind of obviously damaged goods. He's not a serious contender for the world title. Kind of similar for Drew. So hope the match is good. Probably will be. All right. Well, this match confuses me. It's a triple threat match for the Women's World Championship, which sounds very similar to the Women's Championship, but it's not. This is effectively the Raw Women's title. Io Sky, the Women's World Champion, defends against Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. So this is dumb. What happened was first gimmicks. Io Sky is Japanese, not important, and she does top rope flippy stuff and has colorful hair. Gimmicks. Bianca Belair, African American woman. Not that I care, but tall, athletic, powerful, kind of like Jade Cargill, which I was mentioning before, and she was a legitimate college athlete. She goes around saying she's the EST because every superlative, like worst, most annoyingest promo. That was mean, but you know what I mean. You call yourself EST. There's bad words for the EST too. And then Rhea Ripley, she's Australian, and that doesn't matter. She, pretty much ever since she's wrestled in the main roster, she started out NXT. Not important. Goth woman, very powerful, a little attractive if that's what you're into. I'm still I'm very chaste. Anyway, here's the dumb thing that happened. So Rhea Ripley was the Women's World Champion Emeritus. In other words, she just had it. She was just winning matches, holding on to it. It was getting kind of boring. Uh, is that right? Yeah. So, Bianca Belair won something called the Elimination Chamber. Not important. And won the number one contendership match for WrestleMania. So now they determine both world champions off of matches. Why? Why? There's some storylines there, for God's sakes. So anyway, right before, well, I thought right before WrestleMania, that's how slow these weeks before WrestleMania are. Um, Io Sky beat Bianca Belair for the World Championship, which was awesome, and it made it very clear to everyone that the WrestleMania match definitely had to be Io Sky versus Bianca Belair one-on-one for the Women's World title. And then they had a contract signing for the match. And Rhea Ripley ran out and she attacked people and she took out a pen and she wrote her name in the match contract, which is not how contracts work. You can't just like have a pre-printed contract and be like, "Ooh, I'm going to change the entire nature of this." And the commissioner even said you can't do this. And then basically Rhea Ripley kept showing up in Io Sky and Bianca Belair's business, like, "I gotta be in the match. Come on, I'm popular." Blah, 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 blah. And the crowd's going nuts and blah, blah. And the commissioner's like, "Okay, triple threat match for the title." Rhea Ripley lost the match, didn't do shit to earn her WrestleMania spot, and she just gets it anyway. So, as far as my excitement for this match, it's a tough one. It's an okay built match, even though I think Io Sky got kind of screwed out of a singles match. Logically, it's hard to really take Io Sky super seriously here. She's very short, cannot speak English very well. Mostly screams. That's the Japanese woman wrestling promo. Yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna do that voice. I'm not gonna do it. My point is, this match should have been set up to be more clearly Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley, which would have just been a fine match, not a great match. The triple threat match will keep it moving better than that, but I just don't care. It's so procedural. Sick of the Royal Rumble and the Elimination Chamber, which doesn't matter. Setting up these perfunctory things. Like, I'd much rather enjoy other pay-per-views that are not predetermined. I have to give this like a 2. There are probably worse matches that I gave higher ones to because at least they didn't feel like I've seen all of this before. Every WrestleMania, I get probably 3, ideally 2 of the top women who are always wrestling each other. Yeah. They're gonna try, but whatever. And my prediction, I just don't care. But I do not care. But my gut tells me Bianca's gonna win because she hasn't had it as often or recently as Rhea, and we're gonna set up Bianca versus Rhea in a cage or some shit. Boy, I love wrestling. Can you tell? All right, they finally made it. Jesus Christ, the WrestleMania main event. Cody Rhodes, the undisputed WWE champion, which is different than the World Heavyweight Champion. Because apparently the World Heavyweight Championship is just so disputed. That's not a champion. That's what everyone else got there. It's just the SmackDown belt. Anyway, Cody Rhodes, your undisputed champion, against John Cena. I thought Logan Paul would be the most recognizable name on here, but nope. So gimmicks. There are no gimmicks anymore, apparently. Cody Rhodes has platinum blonde hair. He's the son of Dusty Rhodes, who is not quite on the Universal longevity appeal of Ric Flair were pretty close. Very successful, longtime wrestler. Also a very influential wrestling promoter with WCW and WWE. Anyway, his son, he's a babyface. He has a neck tattoo. That's about it. Likeable guy, but not a gimmick. And John Cena, now a world-renowned actor. No, I'm not gonna caveat that. I'm an actor. I'm not. Can't pretend up to John Cena's level. John Cena up against anyway. Does John Cena have a gimmick? I mean, when he first started out, they were like really impressed with his physique, and they're like, "You're a athletic, tough guy," and that didn't work. So he became a rapper with like thuggy stuff and a chain. That was fine. Then he became a babyface who dominated the scene for like 10 years, wrestling in shorts. Gimmick. Anyway, he had little comebacks here and there, but he made a big announcement saying that 2025 he's going to retire at the end, but he's dedicated to wrestling full time until the end of the year. So he came in with his John Cena babyface energy. Guy's like the greatest Make-A-Wish Foundation supporter, blah blah blah. So he's like, I gotta win the world title before I retire, but in a very likable way. He lost the Royal Rumble, was eliminated before he lost the Royal Rumble. It's like, and then so two things happened almost simultaneously. The Rock came back. I said I'd bring him back. There he is, and he told Cody Rhodes in. Doesn't make any sense. He told Cody Rhodes, hey, two things didn't make sense. First of all, what he promised him was vague. He's like, hey, if you work for me, you'll be the greatest wrestler of all time. Cody Rhodes is already holding the world championship. What else does he need? But anyway, Rock's like, if you wrestle for me, you'll be the greatest wrestler of all time. And then, well, that definitely didn't make sense. Rock said, all you need to do to be the greatest wrestler of all time is give me your soul. What kind of transaction is that? That makes no sense. Okay, let me just get that out of my wallet. I'm wearing wrestling tights, so I don't have a wallet. But the fuck. Okay. So they teased like, hey, at Elimination Chamber, Cody Rhodes is going to answer the Rock. Why we gotta wait till then? Sell pay-per-views, I guess. And it's on Peacock, so you don't have to sell the pay-per-view, you sell Peacock. That was dumb. I don't like getting into that. So, to what used to be, you'd buy pay-per-views, call your cable company, and buy them one by one. Now you just subscribe to NBC's Peacock, because if anyone loves wrestling, it's the Friends channel. But when you're subscribed to Peacock, you can just watch the pay-per-views whenever. The more you know. Dun, 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 NBC. All right. All of that to say is that we're going to make Elimination Chamber doubly exciting. We're going to have this match, and then Cody Rhodes' announcement to The Rock. John Cena wins the Elimination Chamber, guaranteeing he's got a title shot against Cody Rhodes. The Rock comes out amidst all this, and he's like, hey, Cody Rhodes, you want to give me your soul, which is a totally tangible thing, for vague success? And Cody Rhodes is like, no, thank you. He actually dropped it. He actually dropped an F-bomb. It was kind of entertaining, I guess. And then The Rock turns to John Cena, and he nods. And John Cena beats up Cody Rhodes. And it turns out, hey, Cody Rhodes didn't make the deal with The Rock, but John Cena did. And now John Cena's a bad guy. And then, I know wrestling is not where logic comes to live, but it's very disappointing because logic wise, because remember what The Rock said to Cody? He said, "Hey, you wrestle for me, you'll be the greatest champion in the world, and the annals of history." So what happens? Nothing. The Rock, nowhere to be seen on television to this day. WrestleMania's coming up this weekend, guys. He's not there. Is John Cena somehow positioned more as the greatest wrestler of all time with riches you can't possibly imagine? No. He comes out on television by himself. He cuts admittedly very appealing, fun promos as a heel and argues with Cody and stuff. But that didn't change anything. Why align with The Rock? You had the title shot. I know what they're implying. I think. I mean, they didn't say it, but at WrestleMania, then The Rock will be there. Then either there'll be a legitimate stipulation in the match, or it'll just be, hey, The Rock will interfere, or then it'll make sense. But as of now, the Paul Heyman CM Punk thing and the Rock Cena thing, on paper, when I talk it out loud, this is one of the dumbest, boringest WrestleMania builds. It's 2 days. I'm more excited for the Hall of Fame ceremony. They put wrestlers in the Hall of Fame and they give speeches, kind of like a real Hall of Fame, which it's as real as any other Hall of Fame. Anyway, excitement for this match. This is definitely my number one match. So I think I said like 7-ish for Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, with all of that confusion. Same thing. I like Cody Rhodes. I like John Cena. Give me an 8. It's not the greatest possible, but should be fun. My prediction? Well, this happens a lot in wrestling. There are 2 factors. Yeah. I guess instead of trying to define the factors, I'll just say them. Cody Rhodes has kind of been run into the ground as world champion. He's still very popular, cuts good promos, has good matches, good feuds. Everyone likes him. But he's had the title nonstop for a year with no major challenges to his reign. So getting the title off of him makes a lot of sense to sort of give him back some babyface fire, give him something else to do, whatever they want. And this John Cena Rock thing has been weird. Heel John Cena is awesome. I think it's getting popular with the fans. What they call heel heat, where the bad guy is effective, so audiences like it, even if they're booing it. It's the whole idea. I was just trying to describe earlier, like, eyes on the television are still eyes on the television. They can be love watching or hate watching. It's not really hate per se. It's like in a movie. I like Ariel the Mermaid, obvious comparison, and I like Ursula the Sea Witch for different reasons. All the point of this was heel John Cena is working, and I would like more clarity what's going on with The Rock, and it's John Cena's last year, so giving John Cena the belt just makes a lot of sense. So John Cena wins. It's quote unquote a dark day, but honestly I think the crowd would be kind of excited just to see what's going to happen next. And get out of this. I love the Royal Rumble match, but after the Royal Rumble match, everything is so goddamn procedural. It's just like an infomercial where they're like the screen wraps around and they remind you, hey, WrestleMania is in April. I know it's February, but by WrestleMania or by Peacock. Uh, okay, this went longer than any of us kind of anticipated. I'm glad I got it out of my system. Honestly, I wasn't super familiar with the Wrestlemania card before I got started anyway. Judgment Day. Judgment Day. That was embarrassing. Um, Feel free to leave a comment on YouTube or hit me up on social media. God. At jasonluna1vs100 at jasonluna1 versus 100 on Instagram and X, I guess. On that note, thanks for listening. Hopefully Marcus will be back next week and the universe will restore its Gemini balance.